That was the hardest decision I've ever made. The answer to that is probably like 100 different projects. I was going to enjoy it no matter what. We built that, scaled it, and sold it within a year. It burnt me out. At least what helped me when I was building is like just being brutally honest. You make the idea perfect. There's never an easy time to do it, because even when you're freer, you're never really free. Give it a shot.
Let's start just by simply where we are, who you are.
Who am I? I'm David Vioque. I'm the founder and CEO of Unbound, which is basically a new longevity company. What I mean by new isn't just in our age, but it's also in how we define longevity. It's a new definition. It doesn't have to do with biohacking and tech bros. It's way more human, way more community-led. And yeah, we're only a year old now, which has been really awesome, but the kind of traction and the community feel around the company has been really, really real. Of a company that's probably a little bit older than ours, so it's been an awesome journey with its highs and its lows, but yeah, I guess we'll get into that.
Totally. Where this whole thing came from and what led you to this?
My background is in finance. So I was an investment banker doing mergers and acquisitions here in London for a while, about 4 years. And then I moved into private equity, so actually like investing the fund's money. I think what that did for me was give me a really good appreciation for how the corporate world works at a really high level, like really high functioning, right? So we worked really long hours. We were kind of like in a bit of a sweatshop for about 6 years.
6 years, yeah.
Yeah, about 6 years. Loved parts of it, hated parts of it. In any case, we'll get into it in a sec, but I left my corporate job almost 6 years ago now to start my first business, which was in the food delivery space.
Okay.
With my current co-founder, Arnold.
What was the name of this company?
It was called Moja with
Moja.
2 A's, Mojaa. We essentially built software for food operators, specifically in dark kitchens. What we saw was this all happened during COVID, so an average order values was going up. So we were like, is there an opportunity in this space to build something? And this was the one that came up. So it wasn't necessarily finding something that I was passionate about. It was seeing a gaping hole in the market where I was like, I can build something really quickly to solve for that. We built that, scaled it, and sold it within a year. But that was kind of 2021 was a crazy time in venture. Everyone was raising, everyone was acquiring. So we kind of rode the wave. We were acqui-hired into our acquirer called Chakuna. It was just a great, fun time when you could experiment with lots of things product-wise. I mean, going from banking, then private equity, then building, scaling, and selling a company, all within the space of 7 years, without really taking any breaks, it burnt me out. Like, completely burnt me out. I've always wanted to work on like my creative outlets, so like my music and all that stuff, and I just never had a chance to. So it got to the point after a bit less than 2 years at Moja, after selling, that I was like, I need to go and do my own thing for a while. So I actually took some time off. I went traveling, your typical banker that goes and discovers himself, but it was a good chance to kind of like disconnect from everything that I'd known. So I did the Camino in Spain, the Camino Santiago. Something wasn't really working health-wise. I was fatigued all the time. I was getting heart palpitations. I was sort of feeling like I hadn't really recovered from COVID. So I'd never like, maybe it was burning out, maybe it wasn't, but I never like felt all right. And even when I was doing the piece of the Camino, I was exhausted every day. The more that I like looked into my health and the more I collected data on my own health, the more I realized that there wasn't anything out there that allowed me to understand the data I was collecting. So I was just like, I was doing blood tests. I was doing a bunch of also, so not only like physical health exams, but also like mental health exams, more like spiritual health. So when I went to Nepal, I stayed with Buddhists, etc. Just, I had all these data points about myself, but I had no way to kind of like synthesize it and say, what does this like mean for me? And that's when the initial idea for Unbound came about. It's like, what if you could build, similar to Moja, an aggregator that was able to pull insights and inference from the collection of data rather than just your bloods or just your functional health or just your spiritual health. If you could sort of build an algorithm that took it all into account, I was like, this would be incredible. So I started building it sort of for myself, I guess. Well, first of all, I really wanted to work on my music. I'd been working on music for 12 years before that, but never taken it seriously. So I took that seriously. I built a small consumer fund with Arnold, where we invested in cool ideas. Like that was it. It was just it's cool ideas, good founders.
Yeah.
That was it. It was through this that we kind of actually explored the health tech space and saw where it was lacking. And then through the actual music making, I realized health and culture usually live in two different spaces. Like health is clinical, it's sterile, it lives in its own like world. And then culture is culture, it's warm, it's all the things that we love to talk about. But at no point do those two things intersect.
Were there any challenges and failed projects and some ideas that didn't really like worked out that you actually spend your time working before you found Unbound and you found that this is the thing you want to actually dig in and dedicate your time to?
100%. The answer to that is probably like 100 different projects. I was kind of like in the weeds. In any single day, I might be working on like 4 different projects.
4 different projects.
Which I would advise against. At the very end of that, when I kind of like saw that Unbound had like my heart, it was a couple of weeks.
How did you know that Unbound is the thing to bet on? Like, how did you actually understood, like that you won't regret it by betting it on?
So the main thing I think is knowing that I was going to enjoy it no matter what, regardless of whether it goes well or not. Like, I know I'm going to have a fantastic time. That to me meant that even though it's a lot less secure, at least at that point, that I was in a comfortable enough position that I could take that risk with those 2 people and still have a great time. So,
So it was the combination of you have your gang, plus you honestly enjoy it yourself.
100%. How did you decide to maybe leave the corporate role? For was that an easy decision? That was the hardest decision I've ever made. Right? Because like everyone was telling me not to. Like every single friend I had, it is bizarre to them to see someone like jump from a corporate role, which is secure, and like they're doing so well now. And like I'm a founder, right? Like, and like Unbound still early, etc. But it was still an easy decision.
I want to talk about your gang, your co-founders.
Actually, I'll start with the last bit first. Opus was like probably the most important bit to Unbound's inception, but it wasn't an incubator program. It's a founder network. So it's a membership for founders. So you essentially join this community of founders, and it is incredible because it's a support system. Arnie, I'd known before, went to high school together in Kenya. We were really close friends in high school. We're really close friends now. Luck would have it, I went to university in Chicago, he went to university in Leeds, but we both moved to London at the same time. I was coming here to do my master's at Imperial. He was coming to start working at Goldman. Building a company is really hard. I mean, that is obviously like, it just is so hard because it puts you in really difficult situations, and then it just shows you like how you react in those situations. Sometimes if you're with a co-founder who you don't know, they usually don't know themselves very well. So you start seeing someone in a different light who you don't know very well. Whereas with Arnie, basically almost like a brother, we've seen each other in lots of different lights on a personal basis and also on a professional basis. So we've been able to like kind of grow the relationship, mature it, which has been incredible.
How did you meet Miguel?
Miguel was on the board of Opus. Arnie and I were close friends with the founder of Opus, this guy called Sam. And we were talking to him about Unbound, just kind of casually. And he's like, I know the guys you guys should speak to. He's looking at preventive health from a different perspective, looking at how community and social connection can lead to better health outcomes. You guys need to chat.
Miguel, a guy with enormous experience. And if you don't mind me saying, Miguel is the co-founder of WeWork, which is huge, of course, enormous experience. Also, a different generation. And it takes you 3 months to properly align and understand that like you guys want to work together, right?
Those 3 months were essential. Like it was a lot of like going back to basics, right? Like going back to first principles. Like I remember sitting in front of Miguel at this space in Islington, and he, no prep, no nothing, just kind of looks at me. He's like, why do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Like, why health?
Yeah.
Why do you give a shit?
Yeah.
Like, basically, it's like, why do you give a shit?
Yeah.
We all asked the question around the table. No time to prep. Just why do you give a
Yeah.
shit? And when we answered the question, one after another, that was like our Venn diagrams.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh wow, there's quite a lot of space in the middle. This can
Yeah.
work. But I think that kind of like no holds barred, no bullshit.
Yeah.
Why you here is essential.
What are the steps I do if I want to find a co-founder?
There's like the classic answer, which is like join the right groups, spend enough
Okay.
time like, you know, on Y Combinator, the
the matching platform.
matching
Yeah.
platform. You'll kiss a lot of frogs,
Yeah.
and you'll meet a lot of great people. Those people will have connections that aren't on the platform. So
Okay.
you're just opening up your network in the startup space.
YC, number one.
Exactly.
100%.
I think that always is a good step forward. And you find your opus, right? Like
Okay.
there's tons of organizations, maybe not as good as opus, but like there's tons of organizations out there that have helping founders as their like main ethos. Number 3 is speak more openly about your idea
Okay.
to people,
That's a great one.
even if
Okay.
they're not in the startup world, because you'll be surprised. You might be mentioning it to your aunt that lives in the States, and she's actually like, oh, I just met a guy who did XYZ and sold his company, and he's just chilling. And you'll never know where your connections will come from. Listen, at the end of the day, like chances are someone has thought of your idea before.
100%.
So like there's no point in being really like secretive about it, protective about it. You just need to be the person that does it best at the end of the day.
And
So
fast.
and
right?
fast. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. That's the other thing that's important to realize is like as soon as you start talking about it, the clock, you start
starts ticking.
Exactly.
How do you deal with FOMO? The fear of missing out?
So at the beginning of Unbound, I think I was fortunate because there wasn't much FOMO because it was like there was nothing else in the world that I like felt really passionate about. So I think that was, I was fortunate there. But during the exploration phase, there was so much FOMO. For better or for worse, you start getting these sort of articles of successful companies raising on like really cool ideas, and it gets really noisy and like hard to focus. I think what at least what helped me when I was building is like just being brutally honest, like brutally honest about like what I brought to the table, and I guess in that sense also what Arnie brought to the table. It's like this idea sounds really cool, and in a perfect world, yeah, sure, I could build it. But like, if I really sit down and look at myself and my capabilities and like my resources and kind of how the world is shaped for myself, will I do well with this?
Yeah.
If I'm like uncertain, it's a no.
Chasing the perfection and not being able to settle for something.
I don't think there is a perfect idea, right? Like I think you make the idea perfect. So everything's going to start out like not how you really want it to, or how you really want it to, and then it just kind of changes. Like everything changes.
Yeah.
I think it's just about getting started. The easiest way to not get started is to keep on waiting for that perfect idea to come around, to like, appear on your lap. And like sometimes it does happen to very few select people, but usually you'll just end up a bit frustrated.
What did you bring from banking and your experience there to Unbound?
I think that, especially nowadays, like there's a lot of young founders that don't have corporate experience, and you sit in front of investors a lot, and a lot of them are corporate. There's this like undercurrent, subconscious connection that you have with someone who's been through corporate that just it just helps to have.
Very nice.
I think a lot of people talk about being able to work really long. Like sure, that's helpful, but I think if you love what you're doing, you're gonna work hard. I think also having bosses is super helpful, because you start to understand like, at the end of the day, if you take on institutional investors, you have bosses, right? Like, so it's just helpful to understand like almost just like how the world works, right? Like you've got deadlines, you've got bosses. Some people are great some days, some people are not great some other days, and it's like, how do you deal with that?
Can you just tell me again a little bit like what is Unbound? What makes it different?
There's two ways of answering that. The first one is like functionally, what is Unbound? Unbound is a preventive health membership that includes your annual MOT, so your annual health check, and a community to do events with, to talk about your health, whatever that might be. But also we have an app which essentially has your results in there and allows you to apply that to whatever you want. So you might be about to have a meal, we have your information, you're able to kind of check, is this stuff, you know, is it going to agree with me, etc.
Nice.
So you have like a one-stop shop for all your preventive health needs. And that kind of moves on to the second definition of Unbound, which is really honing in on the membership side. So yeah, functionally it's 2 tests a year in this community. But what Unbound is meant to be is like, it should capture all your preventive health needs, right? So everything up until sick care. Like we're probably not going to do like oncology, etc.
Yeah.
That's just a different world.
Totally.
But we're going to try to get people to not have to get to sick care.
Exactly. Who should join Unbound and why?
Unbound really is for the person that has tried over and over to get healthier, whatever that might mean, right? It's for the person who has questions about their health, has looked at the solutions, and just hasn't felt like they've connected with any of them. It's for people that have tried over and over to engage with their health, have found it really difficult, really scary, and really expensive.
Yeah.
That's who Unbound is for.
So what's your kind of relation towards competition, and how you deal with the fact that there are big players in the field?
Well, first of all, health tech is not a winner takes all or one winner takes all. Like there is so much space in the market. The second answer is there is no point being secretive, because if a competitor wanted to, they send a mystery shopper through, they get the test, they go home. Like, so we came out of stealth a while ago. Copycats exist, and that's fine. So you can never be like scared or waiting until the right moment, because it's never going to come. In my opinion, you just come out and you try to do it as best you can, and people either fuck with it or they don't. That's it. Like that at the end of the day is what building a company is. In terms of competition, like competition will always exist.
Yeah.
Like there are lots of health tech companies out there, but there are not that many brands out there. And that's why we're building a brand. When's the last time you've seen someone wear a health tech company's t-shirt? Like probably not recently, right?
Totally.
That's why like our brand touch points are super important to us. It's like, make sure that it's a good t-shirt, make sure the logo works, make sure that people really buy in, make sure that the community is actually a community and not just a buzzword.
Yeah, a little bit about marketing, how to get people to like it, and in a very, I guess, genuine, honest way.
What we found really important is we need to get the people that we respect and appreciate in our community to like the product, because if they're a reference point, other people will like and appreciate it. So we spend a lot of time kind of looking at the market, finding who these people are. We've been really fortunate to have like some of our investors be those kind of people. And it could be anything from like the leader of a run club to the most energetic person at a run club. Get those people involved with Unbound early, get them to be founding members, and have those people spread the word. Word of mouth is always going to be the best. And I know that's organic and there is no real playbook. I mean, but there really is, because you go and you identify these people and you give them something that they want, and you really teach them about the brand, so they become ambassadors for you. Everyone is responsible for that. The other thing that's important for us has been like, because we're able to run events and actual community events, that becomes a really good opportunity for us to sell Unbound.
Of course.
And that's actually probably been one of the best mediums for us to do it. So we haven't paid for any marketing at all. And like, there might be a future where we do, but right now, like that's working really, really well for us. I think also PR is important, but from the right sort of outlets and people. You need to be speaking to the people that are going to come and pay for the product.
How many people are right now in Unbound?
As in working or?
Your team.
So we've got 12 people total right now. Yeah.
So it's been 1.5 years and you're already 12.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
When did you start hiring people, like actual people that work for you?
Really early.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, like as 3 founders that are non-technical, you have a lot of questions, more than you have answers.
Yeah.
You bring people in to help you answer them.
Yeah.
And the people that can help you answer them the best stay on. Such a cliche, but like the people are the company, right?
Yeah.
So like you hire good people and your life gets so much easier.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten really, really lucky with the people we've hired.
Have you already fired some people?
We have.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How was that?
I think it's never easy, right? It's never easy, but at the end of the day, if you stick with the facts and you stick with the numbers and you stick with performance, it becomes a little bit easier for all parties. And that's why we like keep it as close to the numbers as possible. It's like, this was what you were hired to do and this is not what has happened. So unfortunately this doesn't work. And when you contextualize with the fact that this is an early stage company, we don't have unlimited resources. The writing's on the wall, right? It becomes a little bit of a more obvious conversation.
Coming back again to starting the company, starting the business. I guess for me, it's like one of the biggest motivators of becoming an entrepreneur is to be free, essentially. And many of younger founders, they are working somewhere, you know? They sometimes think it's all or nothing, you know? So it's like kind of, oh, I'm quitting the job and I'm starting this. So what's your POV on this?
There's never an easy time to do it, because even when you're freer, you're never really free, right? So it's like, you just need to back yourself, I think, at some point. And if you have a good enough idea and you feel like you can give it a shot, give it a shot. You don't need to like drop everything. It's very rarely all or nothing. It's usually like, for 3 months, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to take a sabbatical. I'm going to figure it out for whatever, a set period of time. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But like, chances are you're going to make it work, because you know you have a set finite amount of time.
What if Unbound fails?
There's like, in my mind, 2 definitions of failing. One is like the technical definition, which is like, Unbound can no longer pay for whatever and we just have to close shop. And then there's like the real failing, which is you going home and being like, this is done. Those 2 things are very different.
Okay.
So to me, like, the risk of the first thing, so like having to close up shop, like, that's like money in the bank, right? That's like, that's very tangible. The second one is like spirit. It's like, you might run out of money, but there's solutions, right? Like, you go and like, you speak to your old investors, you pivot, you try to make something happen. Like, until you lose that like hope and whatever, like,
until you lose the second one, you could never lose the first one.
Exactly. Properly winding something down takes a lot of things going wrong, if that makes sense. So I think, you know, trying to hack at it, trying to pivot it is something that a lot of people might not put a lot of value in. But every single successful company that we know, bar like a couple, has gone through a very, very tough identity crisis.
Is there anything that we didn't speak about that you would like to speak about?
I guess so. I suppose we did touch on like AI and sort of community. And I think the one thing that's really important to us is, we think there will be a big shift, of course, in like people's productivity. Like, people are going to become like super productive really soon, or at least people that have like the energy, right? They can like, you have so many tools at your disposal, and that's fantastic. But we are becoming way, way lonelier, right? We're becoming super productive and we like churn out a lot of work, but like, people becoming lonely, people like don't really have communities to turn to. So I think the one thing I did want to point out is like, we're going to be in the real world, like in the built world, for as long as we can. And like, we speak to some investors, they see scale as like no people in the loop. And for us, this is important to keep that person in the loop, because that ensures you have longevity as a company. I know there's like mixed thoughts on that. It's like pure scale versus user experience. But for us, like, I mean, we were just talking about sort of Katie's time or the nurse's time. It's really important for us to keep the human in the loop. Like, in the product, just has to be there.
100%. Awesome.
Awesome stuff, man.
Bro, thank you so much.
That's such a good question.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought about it a bit more.
Yeah? Awesome.
Hey guys, this is David and Arnie from Unbound. We just want to take a moment to send through a huge, huge thank you for your support on this first drop. Like, we're, as you can probably tell, a little bit overwhelmed. We expected the drop to take a bit of time to sell out, and it sold out in record time. So we wanted to, from the bottom of my heart, say a huge, huge, huge thank you.
Yeah, guys, I mean, just to put things into context, we're such a new and young brand that's massively pushing against this trend of over-optimization and biohacking. And so like this early vote of confidence for us it's major. And the best part is we're only just getting started. There is so much lined up that you guys are going to get privy to anytime soon.
100%. Nothing else. Stay well and stay tuned.